Lewis, I hate you so much. I never want to see Lewis's face ever again. Interrupting a spicy scene with Luminous and her ice cube. I am too mad. I don't ever want the next scene that he's in, it better be his last. They just take him out. But no, episode 56 of Reincarnated Slime, really solid episode. I think it had a really nice balance of like action, some reveals, some intrigue, all kind of mixed up in one. It was a really well balanced episode, but yeah, I think obviously Shion took over the episode. I think she kind of was the star of the episode. A really fantastic moment with her, and I think she took up most of it, so really cool stuff. But I do have to admit, despite the fact that these guys are here to take down the monsters, and they're not okay with the idea of coexisting with the monsters, and even though, yes, they are allowing themselves to communicate with them at least, and put down their arms, I think we could all say that the one that probably it should never return back to the Holy Land and back to the church and the order is probably Ritas. Yes, Ritas is taking a shining to taking a shining to Soe. That was interesting. I guess she enjoyed being beat around by him, or at least is admiring him in a sense of you dominated me, so now I like you kind of thing. But anyways, we'll put that aside. Let's just dive into the episode proper. We pretty much have 3 different segments: Luminous, Shion, and then yes, Rimuru and Hinata. But let's start off with the Luminous scene, because that's obviously the one that intrigues me the most. Now, I had to be reminded that yes, we've technically seen this ice cube before, but I totally forgot about it. It was in the OVA, which wasn't too far back, but I don't know why I forgot about it. But yes, Luminous going to some person that's imprisoned into ice. And yeah, in the OVAs, it had her kind of doing the same thing, touching it and being burnt by it, but her mentioning specifically that she's trying to fulfill some sort of wish for this person, and that they can sleep easy, like rest and sleep peacefully in your, I guess, some sort of cryo sleep or something like that. But additionally, in a later part, it has her take down some guy that was not doing his proper job protecting his people. She took him down and returned back to the imprisoned person and said, you know, look, I'm keeping it safe. So it kind of implies in the OVA that she is protecting the land in order to fulfill a wish to this person, or that's just part of it. But it seems like there's something that she's wanting to do to fulfill to this person, and it seems like she really enjoys them. likes to get as close as possible to it while getting burned. Now, it's interesting because it wasn't showing as a burn. It was looking more like something was, like a curse or something was affecting her, because it had symbols. It wasn't a burn mark. It was symbols that was burning into her, something like that. So it's very curious what that exactly is, but it seems like they're obviously very fond of this person that's inside the cube. Now, my predictions is that this is going to be an isekai. It seems like it, because it seems like every single isekai has the same color hair. It's definitely a different hair color than somebody like Shizue, but it seems like Luminous is very invested in this person. And I think based on how the conversation goes with Lewis, again, hate him, Lewis showing up and saying Hinata is acting on her own. Thankfully, it looks like he's already figured out that, yeah, it looks like the 7 is involved. They're doing something. Now, it does look like somebody else showed up and he's like, hey, don't bother her with this stupid stuff. She doesn't care about the humans, whatever. But it does seem like Lewis kind of counters that by saying, yes, but if something happens to Hinata, if we lose Hinata, Luminous will be, and then he gets cut off. Luminous cuts him off. I think what it's implying here is that Lewis sees Hinata as special to Luminous, which makes sense, because when they first met, it looks like Luminous spared her life and then brought her in and nurtured her. And she didn't have to do that. And I think it's possible that she sees in Hinata whoever is in this cryosleep. Like, oh yeah, they're kind of similar. And what Lewis is sort of implying here, I think, is that if we lose Hinata, it's going to hurt Luminous, because Luminous has already lost one of them in the past, and he sees that Luminous sees a similarity there. So I think that's what it's sort of implying, which again does sort of add into the idea that this person in this cryosleep is possibly an isekai. But I think going back to the OVA, it does make a lot of sense to the overall story around Luminous, is it does seem like Luminous is doing everything for this person. And so that would explain why Luminous was so okay with the idea of backing off of Rimuru, because she's trying to protect her lands. And she knows that Rimuru is extremely powerful, and so she knows if she makes Rimuru mad, he will destroy her lands. And again, she's supposed to protect this land as a promise to this person, and it does seem like she's obviously seeing, I can't protect it from Rimuru. Like, if I make him mad, he's going to destroy this land, I can't stop him from doing that. So it all kind of adds up to that, and I'm very curious as to what will unfold, if we'll get more into her story in the future. So really cool stuff there. Looking forward to more of that. But yes, he also does imply that it seems like Lewis and this other guy, Gunther, don't get along. And it seems like it's probably due to the fact they lost Roy and she needs to reassign people. There's a little bit of a territorial squabble happening between the two of them. So it's very, she's like, it's too troublesome. She's like, I need to do this. It's just, I hate dealing with this. But anyways, yeah, really cool little scene. And yes, very, very spicy. But yeah, moving on from there, let's get into Shion. Again, her fighting against Guard and Reynard and some other persons that are there as extras to create the holy field. It was interesting to see that they're utilizing this holy field. And it doesn't seem to affect Shion at all, which I guess makes sense because she mostly just used skills. Whereas I think with Rimuru, when he first fought Hinata, that was more involved with magic and whatnot that was being affected by it. But that's my assumption there without really kind of reminding myself exactly what that does. But no, it was great. I'm not like the massive fan of Shion, but at the same time, I can acknowledge that I like her personality every now and then. And definitely on the battlefield, I really like her personality. Just the idea of like, hey, give up. He told me not to kill anybody if I can do it. So I don't want to kill you guys. So just give up and we'll go get some eat. I'll go cook you something. I'm really good at cooking. So let's go cook something. And of course, it doesn't seem like at least Guard wants to do that. He's constantly getting mad. Now, it was interesting that at some point during the fight itself, it seems like Reynard is pointing out that Guard is acting a little bit too irrational. Like, he's like, this guy is, he's usually a very honorable man, but it doesn't seem like he wants to do that. Guard is acting out of normal to him. So it does kind of imply that something was affecting him. I'm not sure if that's going to go to the whole thing with Rozo that they were talking about in the previous episodes, where Rozo sent the blood shadows to cause a problem. But I don't think so, because he was specifically saying that, Rozo was specifically saying that they were dispatching the blood shadows to conduct maneuvers to get Sare and Grigori to do something. So that obviously does imply that whatever's done is not done yet. Now, Sare and Grigori could be going to the whole situation with Falmouth. That could be a completely separate thing. I think they implied that was that case. So that makes sense why Sare and Grigori's not here. They're with the whole situation with, Yom and Falmouth and all that kind of stuff. So that makes sense. But again, I'm still kind of curious as to if something was affecting Guard or if it's just strictly the fact that he was faced with something that he couldn't take down, that he was being irrational himself. Like, I've never seen him this way because typically he can handle this stuff. I do have to say, despite my predictions how this whole thing would play out, I do like how, I guess, level-headed Reynard was. It's like everything that I felt like would happen with Hinata sort of happened, but with Reynard, I completely misread him. I do appreciate the fact that despite the fact that he was manipulated by the Seven, he figured it out very quickly. And I think that's really because he was so separated from Hinata and how everything like that played out, and the fact that Hinata went for it so quickly, which, yes, technically was partly because the message kind of was same. It just was kind of split rather than rewrote. But it did seem like he figured things out quickly. And yes, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he did see danger in facing off against Shion. And obviously they weren't going to be able to take her on. But it did seem like he was okay with the idea of actually communicating. And it made sense to what Hinata said that she originally wanted to do, and that Rimuru wasn't a bad guy in general. So it was really cool to kind of see that play out, despite the fact that Guard didn't want it to happen. I like the fact that the big super attack they did that she allowed him to do, she just used her cooking skill to cut it in half. Like, yes, of course, she has the Master Chef abilities, so she can cut through anything. So obviously she can cut through an extremely powerful attack. But no, it was fun. I think Shion, that whole scene was really fantastic. But yes, moving on to Rimuru and Hinata. I have to admit, I do think the whole beginning segment of this whole encounter was annoying. And like the idea that they came there and then suddenly everybody has to part ways and do their own fights. And it was so like massively cheesy. I think the whole splitting off to fight one-on-one thing is almost as cheesy as the going to the last tower and everybody starts to go, I'll take care of this. You go on ahead. I'll take care of this. You go on ahead. And everybody gets left behind until the main character gets to the boss. It's almost the same thing. When we got to the point where Soe went off with Ritus, it really did feel like he literally went over to Ritus and said, hey, you don't have a partner yet, right? You want to partner up with me? Like, it almost felt like a playground and everybody was partying off to do like their own playing and to just want to make sure that nobody was left behind. And we had the exact same numbers on both sides to make sure that nobody was left without a partner. It just felt so cheesy. But anyways, that aside, it was fine. Now, what kind of sucks is that very quickly they established the fact that Rayheim was dead. Like, we're already putting into place that whatever you got is not proper. Rayheim is dead, so the Rayheim you've seen was fake. So obviously whatever Rayheim had with him is fake. So it's kind of frustrating that I guess I personally didn't really understand why Hinata in the end had to fight. I think the moment that he mentioned that Rayheim was dead, she should have said, okay, stop here. Everybody stop. Something's off. But no, she still went with it. And it sort of implied the idea that she wanted to fight basically to undo her own mistake. That she still felt like they still had to fight because she had to win in order to undo the mistake that she made. And yeah, granted, towards the later part, when they get to the final blow, it does seem like there's an indication that she's not wanting to kill Rimuru. But it still feels like she felt it necessary that they had to fight. Like there's some sort of pride or something like that she still has to do this. Now that might be because she doesn't want to make her order look bad, despite the fact that she came there. Like I have to follow through with this, but I'm not actually here intending to kill anybody. It felt weird. Now granted, again, like I said, it's partly Rimuru's fault because he did say in the message, if you want to fight, we'll fight one-on-one. But it seemed like the message was so implying over and over again multiple times, but I want to talk. I want to talk. Come here, if it's ain't gonna work, come here, we'll fight, and we won't get other people involved, but, you know, I don't want to fight. Yeah, during the fight, there was a couple things implied here. One was that yes, obviously, Rimuru has gotten much more powerful, and that's in comparison to the last time they fought, which makes sense because he became a Demon Lord at this point, so he's extremely powerful. But not only that, but she couldn't use her unique skill, which was technically interesting. Like, she literally could not use it. Like, she was able to use it before, but this time she can't use it. Additionally, yes, it was kind of sad that she did reveal that over those 10 years that she did train under Shizue. It implied the idea that, yes, she did separate from her, but it was because she didn't want to lose her. I think the last time that we implied why she separated from Shizue, it was because she wasn't getting stronger and that Shizue was too naive. And it does seem like right here, she's being honest with herself that it wasn't because of that. It could be an addition, but it was also because of the fact that she just didn't want to lose her. She didn't want to be at her side and see her being lost, which, yes, could technically play into what happens to these isekais when they come there. Like, she knew that Shizue eventually would die, which Shizue eventually does die, but it's kind of an interesting thing to add on to it. But yeah, that's when we get to the point where they're all being defeated, and they all show up to Hinata, and she realizes that, yep, we lost, and decides to leave it all to one final attack. She basically does exactly what Shion had them do. If you can survive this attack, then you win. It all has to come down to the most epic attack that you can possibly do and show how OP the main character is and whatnot. Now, the oddity here was that, yes, immediately Raphael says she doesn't intend to kill you. It shows signs that she does not plan to kill you. But Hinata unlocks all of her abilities and all of her power, and then she used this ability that she did not want to show to Rimuru because she's afraid that he'll copy it, and does this big, massive attack. But as she's doing the attack, that's when Raphael says, it's unavoidable and unblockable, you should activate Beelzebub. So it's like, she doesn't intend to kill you, but then now, wait, crap, it's unavoidable, use your Beelzebub ability, and Rimuru uses his ability in order to avoid it, and then Hinata says, oh, of course you wouldn't avoid it. Of course you, of any people, would purposely take the attack. But Rimuru doesn't understand what she's talking about. Like, no, why the hell would I take that? What are you talking about? I would never take that attack. Who would take that attack? So it implies that, yes, Rimuru did avoid the attack, but it seems like Hinata believed that he took the attack head on. And then Rimuru turns to Raphael and says, wait, why didn't you tell me? You're keeping a secret from me. My only assumption is that Raphael wanted Rimuru to take the attack so that he could use Beelzebub. Like, she doesn't intend to kill you. And the moment that Hinata comes after him and goes, okay, now that she's going to be able to get to him, now I can tell him to use Beelzebub because she wanted him to absorb the ability. Now, I don't remember if they've ever implied that him just absorbing an ability, a strike, can allow it to analyze it and mimic it. But that's my assumption, is that Raphael was lying to Rimuru that she wouldn't kill him in order for him to take the attack, absorb it, and then analyze it. And that would explain why she's not responding to him at the end there. But that's my assumption, but it felt like a very odd little exchange there. But either way, yes, they win. And yes, to my prediction, Hinata became the Trojan Horse. My prediction, for those that missed it, is back there when the Seven gave her the sword and everything and sent her off. My assumption there was that she was going to go there with the intention that she was going to talk to Rimuru and play into their game. And in the end, she would still cause havoc. And that was a Trojan horse. Yes, the sword ended up being the Trojan horse that I predicted. So yes, even though she gave up, that's when it seems like the 7 or somebody activated the sword, and the sword goes to attack Rimuru, and she blocks it. So cool there that my prediction came true, but it was kind of a shock that, yes, she did technically protect him, which I think that's really is going to turn into a thing where she's trying to preventing her mistake from causing an issue. I don't think she did it because she wants to protect Rimuru specifically. Now, I think that she has grown a bond to Rimuru, but I don't think that she would sacrifice herself to protect Rimuru at this point. But I think she is trying to prevent her mistake from getting worse, because she coming there was a mistake, obviously. And so if Rimuru were to die from the sword, it would both play into what the 7 wanted. She even says, oh, it's their fault. They're taking this too far. And then she takes the hit. And again, I think that's to prevent this from getting worse. Now, my struggle here is I'm wondering if this is going to be it for Hinata. I don't think so. I think what's possibly going to happen is that she's going to take a very fatal blow. And I'm hoping, and my prediction is that Luminous is going to show up and she's going to save Hinata's life. Luminous could be going to the 7 first. But that still doesn't keep her from going there. I think we could open up the next episode. Luminous goes to the 7. I don't know, wipes them all out, says, you're conniving behind my back, goodbye. And then she goes to the battleground and then saves Hinata's life. But I'll be curious how that plays out. It could just come down as simply as Rimuru uses godlike abilities, saves Hinata's life, everybody drinks and gets merry, and then we cut over to see what happened with the whole thing with Falmouth and Diablo and all that kind of stuff. Either way, really solid episode. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below. Comment. Let me know the thought of the episode. Additionally, if you are a light novel reader, if it has not been covered in the anime so far, please keep the spoilers in check. A lot of my speculation is just for fun. I enjoy doing that. So additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button, skip my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips, links, super links, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. And y'all take care.